Good day and welcome back to another edition of Game Time. I know you've missed us. We also missed you. It is a lovely day today and we'll be talking about interesting issues. I have an interesting character in the studio, a man who holds no hands barred. He shoots from the hip. I think if I try and introduce him, I'll run out of superlatives to describe him. I'll let him do it himself. He knows what kind of a person he is. Olsen, I can't introduce you. You must introduce yourself.
Thanks, Margot, for having me. Yeah. But in short introduction, I'm Olsen, a very simple guy, but
very simple.
Yeah, simple.
I'll never put simple and Olsen Kahiriri in the same sentence.
Yeah, but the complexity comes with a lot of things that we put our hands onto. Mm-hmm. So in simplicity, a very loving, nice guy.
So guys, don't be fooled by him being so quiet like this. He's a very combative person. He's very, yeah. But anyway, Olsen, thank you for gracing us with your presence. Let's start from where it started. Who's Olsen? Where does Olsen come from? You know, his upbringing, his everything.
Yeah, I'm coming from a single mother who raised me. And I'm a true reflections of the 1904 genocide. Mm-hmm. Within my veins, you have the German Nama Herero blood in myself. People tend to believe that I'm only a Herero per se because I grew up into that culture. But I have a German Nama Herero blood. Mm-hmm. Because my grandfather was in the south.
Okay.
And that's where he met a woman. From there, they gave birth to my mother, who single-handedly raised me.
Mm. So you were also born in the south?
Yes.
Were you born in the south?
No, I was born in Windhoek.
Oh, okay.
But my mother was indeed born in Windhoek from a Nama and a Herero parents.
Okay.
So I grew up in a village called Oketherahi, where I'm currently residing and farming.
Where is that village?
It's Kakarara, Konjatu, that area. So that's where I grew up. But I was born in Windhoek in 1978, shortly after the Katutura Hospital was built and opened.
So you also born there?
Yes, we were one of the few, the few kids that were born there. So that tells you a lot that I'm 100% equally allowed to become a mayor of Windhoek because I was not brought to Windhoek just by school.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll touch on that, your political ambitions later on. So in terms of schooling, where did you do your education?
I started my primary school at Bethold, Himumune, there in Katutura. It was just in a very same street where I was born. And lucky enough, I was also circumcised at the very same street, same house. Mm-hmm. So that's where I started my primary school. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, I was the shortest in class.
But the oldest?
No, I was also the youngest, but I was the shortest. And I had to repeat sub R, which is grade 1 back then, on the basis that I was the shortest in the whole class.
They never considered
they failed. I was failed purposely. So I had to repeat grade 0, sub R. And then from there, I finished at Bethold. I went to St. Barnabas primary school.
In Katutura still?
At Katutura still, because those years when you finish the school system was lower primary. The other one was higher primary. So you would move with hands holding a girl next to you. You would walk from Bethold to all the way to the other school. And those were our heydays. And it was also tough those times because we were having the youth politics those years, and Namibia was coming close to independence, and we would run at Stembarnabas away from the school when tear gas would be thrown around, when activists were running around those years. So I attended the very same school where the founding father also attended, which is Stembarnabas, and most successful politicians like the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Moseshi Tendero, Shamashivikwas, and all these things. So we coming from the...
So you come from a school that is produced so many scholars.
Yes, very much.
Would you consider yourself a scholar as well?
That will be for the public to judge.
Okay, all right.
But from there, when I finished my standard 5, which is the primary level, I went to Emmanuel Shifidi.
Okay.
And at Emmanuel Shifidi, by that time I was residing in Wambo location.
Okay.
And because my grandmother had a house in Wambo location, so at my last stage at Stembarnabas, I used to stay in Wambo location. So you would know that if most of the people, if they finish school around Wambo locations, they go to Emmanuel Shifidi. So I went to Emmanuel Shifidi for a year. That's where I met the likes of Resten Mohanes, our teachers and things like that. That's where I was also started playing football and all these things, being actively involved in sports. But the unfortunate issue is I was in my school, I was a dark student. So everything, apart from being naughty, the results were speaking for themselves. So I decided that, no, come on. I cannot be attending school in Windhoek. Let me find other ventures of school. So without my parents' involvement, I went to Dr. Lema.
In Rehoboth?
In Rehoboth, at the beginning of the next year for Standard 7. I said, no. I must attend that school. I decided myself.
What made you decide?
No, because I realized that some of my peers that were also with me at Stembarnabas went to the very same school. So I decided, but that's a great school. It's Dr. Lema by that time was producing the best in the market, and I considered myself while I was still young that I should be among the best. For you to be among the best, you must be educated by the best schools. So I personally went to Dr. Lema, a disciplined school. If you have not applied, you will not enter. So I went there without money in my pocket. So, I come from a poor background. So obviously these are bullying tactics that I use myself. So without parents, I went there. I met...
bullied your way into school.
Yeah, I bullied my way into the school, but that's the truth. So they said, but what are you looking for here? You have not applied. You can't attend. It's Standard 7. We cannot take someone from another school who did not start the foundations from here. But one teacher made a mistake while I was there. Said, let's look at the results. And that was an English teacher. And the guy's English is A.
And they couldn't reject
Then the next teacher was a mathematics teacher. He said, no, he can't be. But let me check mathematics. A. There was another history teacher there. There were 3. Let's look at the history. He is most from history. A. I said, but on the basis of this young man's report, he indeed qualifies if he does not even went through the normal application of the school. So now I was admitted at the school. They said, no, then you must, I remember we were supposed to pay 50 rand back then for registration. I don't have it.
You have to come back to
No, I don't have it. So what we must do is register me. I'll go back home and see where we will get the $50 rent that time to register. And then we'll see how things will move. So they admitted me. I was admitted.
Okay.
But now, listen, the next challenge was now I'm in Windhoek. I can't commute. So I must find my way to the hostel. I bullied my way into the hostel and I was admitted without paying a cent.
Wow.
The rest is history.
Okay.
So I pushed my way into a school that I'm indebted to, because the education that I received at that school is what makes the Olsen that you're talking to.
Okay. So you finish, was it standard 7?
No, I finished grade 12.
Grade 12.
That time it becomes now grade 12 through the Cambridge system. Grade 10 and grade 12, they were the Cambridge system.
Okay.
Where I excelled. My marks were A, B's. That's
you finished tertiary education. Where did you go?
From there, given the background that I'm now, from a single mother, I'm the firstborn. My mother by that time had 3 kids. They had to go to school, and I said, no, but I can't go to university. I was admitted by UNA, but I cannot go to the university.
NAFPU was not there by that time?
Yes, I finished school in 1998. The next year, 1999, I applied at First National Bank to start as a clerk there. That's where I started my... 1999, I started at FNB as those in the banking sector will call you as a waste clerk. Now, a waste clerk is the foundations of banking. If you started there, over years, you would know the whole banking system. Is where most successful bankers start. They start at the waist. But some unsuccessful bankers come from they start on top.
Coming down.
But I started from the bottom, and when I left the bank.
When did you leave FNB?
I left the FNB in 2013.
2013.
But I left the bank in 2004 also, and I went to England to study, and then I came back, and then I worked for the Ministry of Justice. I was a control legal clerk at Katutura Magistrate Court. And I worked there for 8 months because I could not understand the services we were producing. The services that we were giving.
What did you study in UK? Law?
No. I studied labor.
Labor, okay.
So now, when I was at the bank, I had lockerheads with the director. Back then was Deputy Director Ushona. I wrote them letters. Even Advocate Kasuto came and assisted me, because the department that I was working with back then I was responsible for domestic violence in a whole Windhoek. In a whole Windhoek.
At the court?
At the court. Yeah. And I was also responsible for estates. Late estates, when dividing estates and all these things. So I was responsible for these 2 desks. And you would see the queue of issues of the whole Windhoek. So after 9 months, I said, but this division must be divided. We cannot operate like this. And we disagreed with the director, and I said, I'm going to leave. I left. Shortly, I was at home for 3 weeks. FNB called me again. I went to FNB. So when I left FNB afterwards, I was an area sales manager.
Okay, for
Windhoek again? No, I was in Grootfontein.
Grootfontein, okay.
So that is the history of my working environment. So when I left the bank, it was under unforeseen circumstances, because...
what are those circumstances?
I was standing up for the rights of the workers. And when you stand up for the rights of the workers,
you become a target.
You become a target. And I remember my wife was angry with me because I had to sacrifice a $34,000 salary in
Monthly.
2013
Monthly.
for just the employees. I had to resign.
She
And
didn't
I-
divorce you.
No. We are together for 23 years.
Shout out to the
That's
madam. Shout out to the madam. You know,
So,
you are lucky she stayed. If it was another woman, they
No,
would
but
have
it's
left.
not luck.
Yeah.
That is not luck. It's you see, certain things, for you to be a brave person, you must also choose
A brave.
the partner that you go with. So this is not luck, but it's fortunate to be among people that seriously go through the journey with you.
Yeah.
But that's my working environment that I was with.
Now, where does the football bug bite? Because we are a sports podcast. You've given us so much about your background. Where does the football bug bite? You said at school you played football. Now, where does it really bite you to say, I want to be involved in football?
Yeah, you must understand that back home at Oketherahi, I come from the generations of good footballers, and I was also made the captain of the team back home. So when our late person who was assisting us with the administration of football at the village aspect, may his soul rest in peace, he's a Maharero guy. This gentleman taught us a lot of things, especially when it comes to football. So he, while I was still young, made me a captain of a team because he could see a lot of characters in me. And that gives me the responsibility to start managing affairs within football at the lower level. And that's how I ran, based on the aspect that the trade union that I was leading, which is the Bank Workers Union, were also affiliated to NAFPU. On an umbrella aspect, this is when the leadership of NAFPU decided that they finding themselves in a very difficult situations and they need someone to come and rescue them.
Okay, so
that's when this call to come and assist the players union came into play. That was in 2016.
So let's talk about NAFPU, the formation of NAFPU. How important and imperative was it for Namibia Football Association and the Namibian football space in general to have an institution like NAFPU?
Marco, you are working for New Era.
Yes.
And finding your way at work every day is not as comfortable as anything else. And you would want a voice that will represent you. And that is in every employment setup.
Yeah.
Everybody would want a representative, a person who's neutral. When this person speaks, it's not Marco speaking, but the representative. So on that basis, the bullet will not be shot at Marco, but merely the representative. So on that basis, that takes a burden away from yourself when you are engaging into your contractual issues, non-payments, and issues on the field, because football is big. People tend to understand football by buying a six-pack every Saturday, go and watch Black Africa playing African Star, being there every time, and later he becomes an expert in coaching who should be the first 11. But football itself is big. You have to unpack and understand it. So the importance, as you have rightfully asked, representation, we have to look at a club's interest is to actually maximize profit in order for it to sustain itself over years. And that would come at the expense of labor. And a soccer player is providing labor. His skills and time.
So he's the one who's affected.
Is the one affected. So football is not something small.
How big is the football industry in Namibia? How much money would you sort of estimate to be in Namibian football?
Namibian football, rough estimation, probably around 10 million.
10 million Namibian dollars?
Yes, that's the value of it at this moment. But it can grow.
That's nothing, man.
Yeah.
10 million is nothing.
No, that's what I'm saying. It has potential to grow.
With the team that just came from AFCON in Ivory Coast, their budget was 16 million.
That's national team budget.
National team, yeah. I mean, I was talking holistically, including the national teams.
Yeah. Marco, the value of football in a country is measured on the leagues that you have, not on what associations are doing.
Okay.
Because it's only in African context whereby associations, operation budgets are more than the league itself. In countries like England, the league budget is far than the FA's budget. And the FA survives actually from the league. So the tickets are around. It's just that we do not understand with what we are playing with. Football is a gold mine. Yes, we are sitting on a gold mine. But because our people have brought politics into it, our people do not understand the game itself. They tend to say, and they also bring this culture that Marco is from this tribe, he must not be there, and all these things.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But the most important thing is we are sitting on a gold mine that has potential to turn it from the 10 million that I'm talking about to $1 billion.
Okay. Let's go back to NAFPU. Now the call has come in. You are experienced in labor issues. You have worked with the banking labor movement. Now they call you to come and work with the football movement, the football labor movement. What happens there when you first come in? What was your assessment when you first got there?
Yeah, when I got there, I was as a Secretary General. I inherited an institution that does not have policies, an institution that has a constitution that was in a pathetic state. So I also inherited an institution that had financial crisis, to say the least. And I came at the time when politics at the football house was at its peak. So all these issues is what I was dealing with. Now the first thing that I did is when I went into the office is for you to understand the dynamics of football politics. So I was sitting for 3 months in my office, reading the statute of the NFA, the statute of the Players Union, the World Football Players Union, the other associations globally, the FIFA, the history of South African football and all these things, in order for you to have a broader understanding. And at the center of what I was studying in my office before I started operating, I was looking for the most influential and powerful person in Namibian football. And every time I was doing my research, this person was Barry Rukoro.
Okay.
I would pinpoint things and I would say, for you to play this politics in football, who's holding on to this ball? And that's what I went to study and understand. And I will be able to tell you how it come, how I'm saying that. Because on how the statute of the NFA was crafted and how all these members of the association should bow to the person who's in charge of the football. And that includes NAFPU.
So you had to bow to this person?
Yes.
That you just mentioned now?
Yes, and mind you, by that time, the NAFPU was shaking. And it had to go to congresses. They never had congresses for a long time. And the association was responsible for for NAFPU's Congress. I said, no, it can't be. Because NAFPU is registered with the Labour Commission's office. And the Labour Act says a trade union must not be influenced by an outside force. An employer must not influence a trade union. So those were the dynamics. And for you to be able to understand those dynamics, you should have done research.
Yeah.
You should know what you are playing. So you would see what you write in the papers and the battles that is going on into the office is power play. And that power play is probably where you want to classify Olsen Kahiriri's characters, which is not the reality, but it's on a professional
level. Yeah.
A level. Professional, because people are saying that you must not bring politics into football. But football is highly political.
Yeah.
You see all the best football legends who could be the best presidents of the association or secretary generals are not brought to the game because the biggest guys with the finances are pushing these guys out.
So you go into NAFPU, you do all this research, you identify the gatekeeper of football in this country. How was your relationship now with him, seeing that you are affiliated to him, the organization that he works for, not to him as an individual, but to the organization that he works for? How was now the relationship between you as an SGO at NAFPU and him as the SGO of NFA?
Yeah, no, my first advice to my leadership that time was for us to disassociate ourselves to the association.
At what cost?
Then we are outside.
Okay.
Because we must, when we come inside, we must be independent. Where we are sitting, the marriage that was there
was not convenient.
It was not convenient, and it can't be. It can't be a healthy environment. That basis you will compromise your members, which is players. The players, because you are not into this game to have a seat next to the NFA executive. You are in this issue to serve those that you claim are the owners of the union. So it's not about coffee or biscuits that are on the table. So or favors to travel with the national team. No, it's not about those things.
What did your leadership say when you advised them to disassociate?
It was a tough call. It was a tough call. It's a back and forth tough call. But
were they captured by the association?
No, not at that time. Not at that time, but it was. You see, when you are inside and you are going out, you would know that going back inside, it's a very dangerous thing. So by that time, I could see that also there was hesitance from the leadership, because the leadership are also interested at the bigger ball, which is the association. They also have a personal interest. And I come with a ruthless, aggressive agenda. Because at time, when we were discussing these things, the executive were paid salary. And I said, there's no board on earth that is being paid salaries. I had to cut the people who employed me salaries. And that also brought beef, because that also brought to the downfall of the institution itself, because you started getting into the pockets of those that are your leaders. So, but it was an administrative decision that I had to take, even though it was not welcome and all these things. But us moving out was not welcomed by the association.
And the principals this time around of the institution of NAFPU, the players, how did they feel about that?
You see, because it brought a bit of tensions and divisions within ourselves when such decisions were made. Because you would sit in a board meeting, take decisions, and some people will go outside and being convinced by people who knows nothing about football, who pretend as if they know. And then these young players who you have brought as leaders, because for the first time, the active football players were at the executive arm of the association.
How did that
so
go?
sometimes you would see Sticker being the vice president of the association, being elected the vice president of the association, him being the captain of the national team. Here you challenging the secretary general of the association that brings this guy to the national team, and here you are challenging a club called African Star, to which he is also captain of and also president of NAFPU. So sometimes these power dynamics also get to him.
Was that an ideal situation to have players who are employed by this club, who play for this national team, on the executive, where they have to go now and fight for the rights of players at the same clubs, at the same national team?
The unfortunate thing is the trade union belongs to its members, and its leaderships must be among its members, active members. You understand? So that's the politics that people do not understand from looking from far. But the unfortunate part is we will have to have these people at the harm of it.
But does it not put them in a compromising position where here they have to fight for this, but they are fighting their boss who then pays the salaries?
That means that the trade union is not theirs. If they are not coming to lead their own organization. Because what you must now try and create is an institution that belongs to its members, not to individuals. If at the helm of the leadership of such an organization is in the hands of retired footballers, then it's not in the hands
of
active members.
But worldwide, we see usually the retired players are the ones that are leading the players' union. I'll give you examples. In South Africa, it's the ex-players that are leading it. In Zimbabwe, it's the same thing. In Zambia, it's the same thing. So why was it necessary for us to have the active members?
It's a wrong approach.
But it's working in those countries.
No, it's working, but it's a wrong approach. That's why you would start worshipping legends instead of building an institution. You know what? Had NAFPU still continue with a proper administration without anything that happened not taking place, NAFPU could have been a rich institution where we stand. And it would have had potential finances to be able to fight the battles that players and coaches are finding themselves currently.
How much were the active members contributing financially to NAFPU?
Nothing.
But now, how does now the institution belong to them if they're not contributing nothing?
Because they are members. Them being members, they sign their collective image rights to NAFPU. And what NAFPU does is they negotiate with the World Football Players Union to sell the NAFPU image, which is collectively owned by the Namibian players. And that association takes that collective image rights and negotiate with FIFA for FIFA's revenues per year. A certain portion
to be plowed back.
Must be plowed back to the players. Indirectly, they are also playing a part.
Okay.
But that contribution of a monthly is also a requirement. But at the end of the day, you would find yourself that by the stage when we were doing these things, it was even difficult for a Namibian player to pay a $50 subscription fee and all these things. But it's a stage of processes that we were working on.
Okay.
So we were busy building an institution that will become bigger than us who were operating on it.
But were you guys ready? Were you ready? Was your president ready to have an institution bigger than him? Because from the research that I've gone through and from what I've experienced and whatever, I felt, that's a personal feeling, I felt that, I'm allowed to have a personal feeling, by the way, this is a podcast. so I felt like the characters at NAFPU wanted to be bigger than NAFPU.
Yes, you are right. You are right, and here you brought a secretary general, which is result driven, that wants this institution to grow and outgrow you as a leader of it, because you have 5-year term in office, and you are accountable to that. After the 5 years, you must go.
And you must leave.
You must leave an institution that is standing. And this is where the tensions is. This is where problems started. And these problems also is created by outside forces. Because now the politics at the NFA is taking center stage. The union is aggressively exposing what is also happening, because that's the duty of the trade union, exposing the maladministration at the soccer house, how the politics is being played at that soccer house, how the players are being exploited, and it comes straight to the clubs, because the club owners are also the administrators of the game. So they see this NAFPU Secretary General using the tools of NAFPU to aggressively come to improve the standards or the working environments of the players. That in Namibian context is a fight that they must collectively fight to destroy an institution called NAFPU.
The club owners and the administrators didn't want the situation improved for the players.
Yeah, and we were captured on the basis of the executive.
Who is we?
Us, if I say we, I'm part of the board. And
so that's the president.
So when we take decisions, we take them collectively.
So that is the president.
And then when the board is captured, some are speaking this, some are even though we are taking a decision, the others lose or the others win. But if a portion is captured, then the institution is captured, it's divided into two. It's no longer serving the interest of the players. So now it's name calling, characters. These people are politicians. What are they doing here? And all these things, because the fight for someone to be at the NFA is daily survival from the dying of NAFPU. Because for NAFPU to die, I remember it was created by Hilda and his team and her team. When the first normalization committee came, I remember a month after they were appointed, we had a meeting with the normalization committee on a Friday. Me and the president. We had a meeting with the normalization committee. The discussions we had was fruitful. Friday meeting, Saturday, NAFPU's offices are closed.
By who?
By the president. A decisions of a meeting that I was not aware of.
Who was the president of NAFPU at that time?
That's Lolo Gorazep.
Okay, the former Brave Warriors midfielder.
Yes. Office is locked.
The reason?
No, NAFPU cannot sustain itself. It must be. There's no need. You would go to social media. Read what he was posting. He was saying there is no need for football, well, for players' union. That is an institution that must be foregone.
But why didn't you guys challenge him?
I did. I went to court.
And what happened?
I won the case.
And?
NAFPU still exists.
On paper, yes.
Yes, it exists. And I'm still the Secretary General. That's the court ruling.
So now you are basically saying you own NAFPU?
No, I don't own. I can't own an institution that belongs to members.
Yeah, but now what? Okay, before we even get there.
Yes.
Your relationship with Lolo, how was it from the beginning to the end?
It was a good relationship. I did not see any problem with Lolo. Even at the extent when I was starting cutting their allowances and things like that. You would see that there's a bit of tension, but it was not that serious. But it came seriously when the normalization committee came in, the first one. I don't know what my president was promised, but that's what changed everything.
So you are saying the Hilda Basona Mujebo-led normalization committee captured Lolo?
No, that's what came and did a brilliant job for not players to be represented in this country.
Why did they do that, according to your research and understanding?
Probably it's politics. Because by that time, the office was locked. Everything was not in my hands. And for me to regain all the
Access.
instruments of powers is through the court processes. And that took me 3 years. 3 years in an administration of an institution is a lot. But when the reality comes to play, whoever has done this moved on. But the players are still devastated, still finding themselves in a difficult, precarious state.
I mean, I'm also confused now. The fact that you have a meeting on a Friday, and then on Saturday the institution is closed.
Yes.
What was discussed at that meeting?
It was. I made it very clear, as I rightfully also do at international convention, because I was also not favored at the World Football Players Union in terms of, you see, we don't go to meetings to enjoy biscuits. I remember we had a meeting in Cairo where I stood up and I said, but why should the Secretary General of 5th Pro Division Africa come from France? We have capable Africans who can become Secretary General. While other regions are having their own Secretary General.
So it was imposed?
No, but the reason was for transformations and building. But those radical discussions is the very same one we had with the normalization committee when they came in.
But I think
I'm giving you an example as to how a character called Olsen, when it comes to officers and the voice of those who have put you into that position, would be. Because when we met the normalization committee, I told them straight away. I told them that we are not here to buy faces. We are here to be an independent, strong institution led by players.
Yeah, but then while you are saying that, and while I understand that, you meet Hilda and the NFA Exco, the normalization committee on a Friday. The institution closes on a Saturday. What was discussed in the meeting?
What was discussed in the meetings is our relationship with the association, the importance of a players' union, what our stance are, uncompromising.
And you and the president sat in that meeting with the chairperson of the normalization committee,
yes,
and the SG of the normalization committee at that time,
yes,
Cosmos,
yes.
And you agreed that it's important to have a players
yes, very much.
Union.
Yes.
Was there any other meeting that you did not attend that led to?
Up until today, that's the mystery I am still trying to find. Because it's very funny that we have a meeting without the president speaking to me. The next morning the office is closed. How do you go to a stakeholder having a nice discussion of the future of the institution,
yeah,
and the next morning the institution's doors are closed?
Okay, so the doors are closed. What was your next move?
No, my next move is to reclaim the NAFPU statute and everything for it to find its way back into Namibian football. So the biggest benefit that we currently stands, and if I say we, I'm talking about TUCNA. TUCNA is the federations to which NAFPU is affiliated to. Now you must know that you after 3 years, you went to win a battle to which you are owed money, and the institution has no such money. And for you to bring this institution to the place where it should be requires finances. And where do you go to? You go to the association, to where you are affiliated. Now we are working around the clock with TUCNA in order to bring back the voice of the players. These things are in our hands.
How far are we with progress?
You see, we took a back seat for a year. And that was a collective decision with the leadership of Tukna on the basis of the politics that was there in Namibian football. Let us not get involved. Let them do what they want to do. Let them get leadership in place the way they want to do it, because we don't have any interest in what they are doing. We would only have interest the moment we have our members. Where we stand, NAFPU, as you rightfully said, does not have members. So what is your first move?
Recruit the members.
You must recruit the members.
Okay, how far are we with that?
Oh, no, we have not started. You will have to recruit members. And our mission to recruit members is to start a new season with new members. Because the moment you recruit members now, the season will end. And there will be changes of membership. Because you see, you must also understand the dynamics of trade unionism in aspect of football. Football players moves along amongst these clubs. So every season, your database would move.
But why don't you have all the clubs from the second division to the Premier League affiliated to NAFPU?
How do you chew an elephant?
Bit by bit.
Yeah, you can't take everything. You understand? You start with an organized structure. Currently, where we know organized structure is the Premiership. From there, you go to first division. From there, third division. In order for you to be, now it's like you are starting NAFPU all over. And for you to build all these things.
How long will this take us?
It will take us another 5 to 6 years.
That's a long time.
To bring back NAFPU where it's supposed to be. Yeah, but gradually along the way, it's where you will see the successes of these things. Because you see, I understand where you want to come from. Go, start recruiting, start making statements, be relevant and all these things. It's not about your relevance. It's about building a strong foundation. And building a strong foundations is based on the statute, on your own grounds. Because the groundwork must be first be aligned properly. You don't need to rush. You want a court case. The next thing you make a press conference. I'm back at NAFPU. This is what is going to happen. We are going to recruit people. No, you work underground.
Okay. All right. So you're saying 5 to 6 years. What are the players going through in these 5-6 years?
Along the 5 to 6 years, obviously their issues will be resolved. Their issues will be gradually be brought back.
Why I'm asking you this question, the team that went to AFCON, we know that the last 2 matches or so, there were issues with bonuses. And that's where NAFPU could have come in.
Yes.
In fact, even before going to AFCON, NAFPU would have been involved in the negotiations for salaries, just like what the SAFPU did, when the team went there. They were involved in the negotiation of the bonuses and.
When NAFPU was around, it was even difficult to get hold of the national team players because of the politics that was there. What is so different in today's world where NAFPU is not actively speaking on behalf of the collective? I know players are finding it very difficult to even approach a person with the knowledge to have a common voice in the interest of things they want. Yep. You don't necessarily need a trade union to do that. You can all collectively come together and say, Marco is going to represent us. He is our consultant for that matter. He's going to speak on behalf of us. This is what we want. I told you, the bullet is going to go to who? To the consultant, not to the player.
All right, now, with all these issues at NAFPU and the progress that you're making in terms of reviving NAFPU, what would be your advice to the players at this point in time?
Yes, I also want to correct you. Yeah. It's not me.
Okay,
it's a collective.
Okay.
On the basis we are going through the association. The federation. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's a we.
Okay.
It's
you as you and Tukna.
Yeah. But from the aspect of NAFPU itself and the Tukna federations is for you to achieve what you want to achieve in life. It's not easy. It's not easy, and for you to be represented by the right person, or for you to find that right person to represent you, it's not easy. And as much as people would want players to play football, those that you sign contract with would advise you wrongly not to seek advices. If they are working somewhere and they have issues with their bosses, they would resort to legal advice or a trade union. But they would not want you to have that. So it's high time that the players themselves must start reclaiming what belongs to them. And a collective voice is better than an individual voice facing a club owner, facing an administrator. Mind you, going to the national team level, the message that I can send is, if national team players respect their players' union in the country, that would elevate the players' union to negotiate better standards with the association. Because that way, whoever they call on national duty, the voice is still the same.
But when you are saying that now, I get a bit of some contradiction. The former president, should I call him former president of NAFPU, Lolo Korasep, he was a national team player.
Yes.
He was involved in these issues, you know, the COSAFA, where they were not paid, they had to strike in Angola, and. Yes. Now, why would he then come and take away that voice that he fought for when, or that, you know, take away that voice that fought for him, or that he had brought in to fight for the players, because he had suffered. He experienced that suffering. Now he's taking away that voice. What?
You see, a true character of a person is not when he is struggling or he's having cripples of bread in front of him. A true character of a person is when he has millions in his bank account. You tell me of Lolo today. It's not me to judge, it's the public. What he is currently doing in football, that is his true culture. That's his true characters. But here...
Yeah, by that, what do you mean? That is his true character? What he's doing now? He's running Black Africa.
At the expense of the players.
He's part of
at the expense of the players, with the history that he went through. Where he had an opportunity to transform players' rights for a better, because he has kids that plays football. It was an opportunity for him that he could have built an institution at the expense of what others would have told him back then for this institution to be destroyed. So I'm not judging how he did it, but I don't blame him for where NAFPU is today. Maybe it's a fortunate that NAFPU had to go through what it went through to become a better institution, away from the characters that was owning it. So you must, that's why when you run a business, you bring the SWOT analysis. Through the SWOT analysis, what do you do with your challenges? What do you do with your weaknesses? You turn them into opportunities. That's how you transform institutions. Yeah. And you're speaking to a person who can transform institutions. I did that several times. Most of institutions I touch my hands on grows. So,
but not with NAFPU. We see NAFPU is
NAFPU is back where it ought to be. Okay. From infant state.
What is your relationship with Lolo now?
Socially, we speak. We speak.
Would you work together at an institution, at a football club?
Lolo, you see, Lolo, I don't have issues with him. He will have issues with where we return him to. We return Lolo to Black Africa. The people of Black Africa would start understanding what we had to deal with. And the rest of the Namibian football players or football fans and those that engage with it, they would now see, you see, the true character of a person comes at the later stage. You see, I was at DTA. Today, the president of DTA chucked members of his coalitions because they went to support an independent president, to which is the freedom of association. He chucked them out. But when I disagreed with him back then, when I was saying this is his true culture, it came out at the later stage that he had to chop some of the people in parliament. He had to chop people today. It's news, it's current affairs. And when I was taking a stand and say this guy is not a good person, the public would always side with a person that is in power. But today you see the true characters of a person because it surfaces, it comes out, because you cannot pretend forever. So this is what you see, because Olsen Kahiriri sitting here speaking to you, it's not the first time that I'm standing on behalf of the people that are suffering.
All right. So we are moving now. You brought in DTA. They are not called DTA anymore.
Yeah, when I joined them, it was DTA. When I left, it was also DTA. So don't tell me other things. That is after I left.
Okay. Politically, you were a member of DTA. What inspired you to join politics?
Yeah, you see, being a trade unionist at the bank, as I told you, and being in a world of activism, you start understanding that most trade unions becomes politicians. Most activists become politicians. Because what you do as an activist is political activities, but not falling under a certain political umbrella. Because the forces you use as an activist or as a trade unionist is to try and fight system to change for the better of those that you represent. Now, activism, trade unionism, and politics are the same things. It's just that they are played at different arenas, but the game is the same. Let me tell you, all the trade unionists are politicians.
Okay.
Well, all activists are politicians.
So that's what inspired you. You joined DTA?
No, I did not join DTA. I created NAF.
You created NAF?
Yes, registered in ECN and all these things. Drafted constitution and everything. I'm a very dangerous person. You are speaking.
That was after you left DTA.
No. You are speaking to someone who can create things out of nothing.
No, I understand that.
Yes.
I'm saying, when you left DTA, what was your next step? That's when you want to create...
No. I created NAF first.
Before DTA?
Yes.
Before joining DTA?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was my first political home.
So
the first political home I created myself. Yes.
Freedom fighters?
Yes, with my colleagues. I created it with the likes of Epaphras Mwikolongo and what.
Why did you leave?
I will tell you.
Why did you leave? I'm asking.
You see, it's very juicy to sit on behind the screen and behind newspapers and read things that in reality are not the truth.
Okay.
When NEF came into play, the first election, we had 7 seats in parliament.
Okay.
Where are they? They were negotiated at State House by my colleagues. What do you expect me to do?
And you didn't agree with that?
How can election seats be sold in return of finance?
Where did the money go to, the finance?
Whoever went to negotiate.
Okay.
And you see, we work in a country where state intelligence are following people like me, knowing that if I want to do something and divide this person from the agenda that is on the table, I can't go through him. He won't compromise. Let me rather use those that are next to him. This also happens in the bank. When I left the bank, I had offers to sell what I stand for.
For a man.
For better positions, for cars. I refused. So this is the dynamics of the games that you are playing.
So does you having certain stance on certain issues, being a man who's straightforward, a man of your word and a man of honor, does it not now bring you out as this person who's controversial?
Controversy is up to how the people wants to put it. But your question is, Olsen Kahiriri back then, Olsen Kahiriri today still stands from the same principles.
So you're a principles man?
Yes, principles. Okay. Because the moment you have principles, it means that you are ethical. And if you are ethical, and you give me a job to do as a client, I must deliver the service. Principles.
Okay. All right, so
the principles is what you do behind closed doors. So what you do behind closed doors as a leader, you have people that says, Marco is going to speak on behalf of everybody at New Era. And Marco goes inside, he speaks something different. And he takes something in return
of selling
out to others.
Okay, so you've created NEF, somebody sells out, you move on.
Because the agenda were different.
They were different.
Yes.
You go to what you call DTA, which
DTA,
is not DTA.
Yes.
All right,
I joined DTA, yes.
You go to DTA.
Yes.
You disagree with the leadership there?
No, I did not disagree. No, I did not disagree. Because when I joined DTA, I joined as an ordinary member. I never held any position. From the day I entered and the day I left.
Well, what made you leave then? You became ambitious. I'm
a very, very dangerous person as I sit next to you. And I will tell you why I'm dangerous.
Dangerous in a good
way. To test the powers I have. There was a time when McHenry came out publicly and said, we want to replace Kashirioba with an energetic Secretary General of the Youth. And his agenda was to bring Vipua to become the Secretary General of the Youth. I disagreed with that. As a member, nowhere in the structures and what. I was a campaign manager for to be ousted Secretary General. And I was at that Congress. That Congress on the Friday had to be postponed because of the influence I had inside. Now when we went to sleep, let me tell you, this is what we did. When the Secretary General was taken away all the instruments of power and they were given to Elma Dienda, who was now in charge of the Youth Congress at that time. I said, no, that's not politics. These guys are just at their expensive houses. They are not politicians. We are on the ground. All the delegates, the day the Congress was postponed, all those cars were in Katutura at the house where we rented. And while everybody, I knew that the postponement was for me not to continue in a Congress. And I did not sleep that night. When everybody went into Congress, we had all the new leadership of the youth in a piece of paper, this small. And it was in a Congress. When these people went to open their eyes, we have already blocked the whole Congress and this guy retained his position. That's when the president of the party realized that this guy is, without him being involved, what can he do? And that's the reality. That's what happened. So at the end of the day, we would tussle around with the president here and there when we are in meetings, but that's politics. So I came and I realized that, but probably I'm at one person's house, that I should not be there. So I took a principal's decision that the way McHenry react outside and the way he does things inside is two different characters.
And you're not
and I'm not interested in a party that belongs to a family. And that's what I left. And I made it very clear, and I put it to him that I'm living the way I ended. What is the problem with that? I'm exercising my constitutional rights.
So you leave.
While I'm still at DDA,
Yeah.
we started the Landless People's Movement, not as a political party, as a social movement.
When you're saying we, who are we with? Who is
The likes of Swarboy. When this Landless People's Movement was created, I was called in to come and assist also. And it was a social movement, not a political party. By that time, Clinton Swarboy was in SWAPO, Henny was in SWAPO. Everybody was in their political home. And our first task was to stop the first land conference not to take place. It wasn't a political party. It only emerged to become a political party when dynamics change. And when this dynamic changed, I was not ready to leave the political home I was back then. So my brothers continued with Landless People's Movement, to which they did a brilliant job, and it stands where it stands. So when I left PDM, I just came into an institution that we already created.
Okay.
Yes.
You've been referring to PDM as DDA the whole time. Now you're referring them to PDM. I'm happy about that. Now, you go to LPM. You contest as one of the candidates for the councillorship job.
Yes, at Katura East.
In Katura East, yeah.
And that was my first time to do
contesting
that.
a political seat.
Yes.
How did you find that experience?
It's tough.
Would you do it again?
Yes. Because you see, we with that campaign, I personally brought in new dimension to politics as to how we should campaign, strategies you must have, and all these things. And I think from zero, where we were, to where we stand, because by that time, LPM was new. It's the first time they contest in that constituency as a councillor, and all these things. So it was I know, because the first political portfolios I stood for was when I was, I did not stand, but I just went to see my name. That was in PDM, DDA that time. I went to see my name in the list of the local authority. And I wrote to the party and I said, remove my name.
Why did you remove?
I don't subscribe to be elevated to portfolios that I did not work for. How did you bring my name? So I had to be removed, and it was not an easy thing because they were angry. I said, but how do you put me on a list without me being elected by the people? So this one at the LPM was the first time that I was democratically put into a challenge, and a challenge that we did brilliantly well, that I can do 100 times, as long as the people in a constituency that I represent will get the voice. Okay. Wherever, even parliament or wherever. But currently, what I'm working on is a bigger projects than politics itself.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll get to that. When you lost that election, and you have seen the dynamics that have come up at the City of Windhoek because of a hung sort of parliament at the City of Windhoek, I'll call it a parliament, but obviously it's a gathering of councillors. They are hung. We don't have an outright winner. There has to be these negotiations. Come, we work together. Today we fight. Go away. Bring in somebody. Then it's a merry-go-round, just to say. Do you think we need so many political parties in Namibia? Based on the experience of the City of Windhoek, as an outsider?
Yeah, you see, it's political maturity that is destroying what is happening.
Is it political maturity or political immaturity?
Immaturity, political immaturity at the city that is creating what we are having. Because I believe that if you are elected as a leader, you must not be elected on position. You must be elected on principles.
Okay.
I will give you an example. When AR got into the city, they came with an agenda to become mayor. They will capture mayor, they will fix things, not understanding that for you to be a mayor, you must also have the support of the other councillors.
Management committee.
Yeah, management committees, because the moment you get elected, all the councillors that you are elected with, I think it's 15, should
15.
be your working partners, not opponents. So if you come with the idea that I'm coming from wherever I am, it's not wrong to campaign in whatever way you do to get there. But the moment you get there, you relinquish your campaigns on a basis of sticking to your manifesto of bringing the service to the people.
All right.
So you leave your politics out, you sit as a collective, the 15 councillors, and you work collectively for the interest of the people for the next 5 years, because your leadership will be tested and be waived and judged on the 5 years performance.
And what you've achieved.
Yes.
All right. So, NAFPU, we've spoken about it. Politics, we've spoken about it. What is Olsen doing now? I know you, at one point in time, you are still a players representative or agent. Clarify that to us.
Yeah, you see, Marco, I'm blessed and highly favored. Why am I blessed? A lot of people would want to have a one-on-one show with you. But I'm one of the fortunate people to come and sit with you to tell my story. I'm fortunate on the basis that the day I took a decision to go to Dr. Lema brought me to a level where I am. I'm fortunate that I've traveled to 326 cities worldwide. There was a time where I will use an aeroplane like a taxi. That's fortunate.
Some people have never been in a plane.
I have been at thick of things. You can call me any names. I changed political parties and but I was at the center of pushing the transformation of my own country in a lot of sense. Today, the sports budget is 670 million. When we started making this noise, the budget was merely 200 million. And I was part and parcel of that. That's the fortunate of what I've. Whether it went positive, negative, the trains of events that I went through have made me the strong person that I am. Family-wise, you will never touch. Very strong family, strong bond.
We'll talk about that.
But what I can tell you currently what I'm doing, I've created an organization called Kahiriri Consultancy. Through that consultancy, we have henceforth farming, doing the bed breedings of animals best, because through working for others, through being a sacrificed lamb through others, you have learned to be able to build your own product and take it to a level where it is. There's no day I would want to do things differently from those that I did before. Yes.
Take us through your journey of representing players. What is that through Kahiriri Consultants?
Yeah, you see, we the first player that we started representing was Elmo
Kambindo.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the first export player.
Is he still under
yes,
your representation?
Yes, he's still under my representation.
You recently signed the contract.
We extended his
By
contract.
how many years?
No, that's undisclosed. Sometimes there are certain.
No, just the years.
No, that's undisclosed because we are still.
Because I had an argument. I'll show you a WhatsApp with somebody. You know him. We're not going to say his name. We had a discussion about that undisclosed part that you're saying. What is undisclosed in a contract in terms of the number of years?
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. The in contracts, in football contracts, there are sometimes undisclosed clauses that you put.
No, but the extension of the number of years, 2 years, 6 months, 5
No,
days.
that's for us to determine.
You see,
we work.
it was on Monday, as you can see. Good afternoon. How is the contract extension unspecified? Then I said the length of the contract is not unspecified. Exactly how do we say the length is unspecified? So I get those questions because I would update. Guys, is my mic okay? I would update on our social media and say so and so is his contract extended, and then I get these questions.
Contracts vary. When you speak about contract clauses, they vary. They are different. You know, we know that football contracts are public. The amount of money they sign for, the clauses, but some of the terms are sometimes hidden for reasons only known by the agent, the player, and the chairman of the club.
Why are you
to
hiding?
engage.
Why do we hide the extension?
I want to give you a background before I come to this. For you to take a player and put him in South African Premiership, it costs you an arm and a leg.
Also,
you must engage with Chipper. Chipper is not an easy person to engage with. You speak to him. You try and put things to him. But sometimes it's difficult to get what you want out of contracts. And there's also a lot of dynamics when you negotiate contracts. And then that's why we say, okay, Chipper, let's do it this way and see what might happen. And if I even tell you the contract that I negotiated for Kambato at Stars, there's an undisclosed clause. How he's going to live.
Okay.
So sometimes you protect certain things. That's why certain things are not disclosed. But the rest of the issues are disclosed.
All right, so Bindu, you represent him. Kambato,
yes.
You also represent him.
Yes.
Who else?
I represent also the young man who was also at the AFCON, Mudeu.
Mudeu, okay.
Yes, I represent Kennedy.
Amutenya.
Very difficult player to represent.
All right.
But anyway, he's also.
Where is Kennedy now?
He's here
in Namibia. Who is he playing?
He's
for?
recovering
from an injury.
From injury.
But he was at AFCON. He played well at AFCON.
Yeah, but he was injured.
He played under injury.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And we are not rushing him because we are looking for a great prospect for him come the Windows season.
All right. And then as we move forward, your daughter plays football?
Yes.
All
my kids.
Football. She's in the national team?
Yeah, all my kids.
How does that make you feel?
No, you see, to wear a national jersey is a great thing. And it's something that a father would be proud of.
Has your influence not affected her, either negatively or positively? Does she not come and say, but Dad, you must also tone down, or Dad, let me...
We don't discuss those things too much. But I also do not get too much involved into her football.
Okay.
If you ask even their coaches, they hardly speak to me. There was only a day that I had to draw a line. Is when they played in Burundi, and she was off from school for a month and a half. And then I received a phone call from Woody in South Africa that your daughter is coming from Burundi, but she will have to join the national team because we have a lot of injuries. And I told the team manager of the team, of the national team she was playing for, I said, no, she must come to Namibia because She's going to be at the bench. There's more opportunities that would come. There are school issues. That
How did you know she was going to be on the bench?
Because she came from a lower team, which is under 17. And they are the senior team, and they are just bringing her on the basis of injury. And I said, no, but you are weighing. You must also weigh the education aspect vis-a-vis such an opportunity of the national team. Because this is a person who has an opportunity to be at that national team for years.
She could have taken that opportunity and grabbed it by both hands, and she could be the regular by now.
And that's why
you interfered.
And that's what, when I interfered. The rest of the time, I don't interfere.
But okay, there have been issues of national team players, especially the ladies, not being paid. Has your activism not tickled you a bit to say, my daughter is there?
I also did not play any role there. I did not get involved. I'm conflicted.
Okay.
I'm conflicted. I cannot touch that. Great. Because when I make the noise, they would say, we want some finances coming from that side. No.
Okay. So just to conclude now, I think we've been going, how long have you been going, guys? 2 hours, ne?
1 hour, 20 seconds.
I thought you've okay. Anyway, to conclude the session, you are fighting African Stars now, regarding Coach Mbakera. I'm not fighting as in, but you're not standing on the same fence with African Stars regarding Mbakera. I know it's sub judice, but give us a brief on that.
You see, African Stars is my team.
You support them.
Yes, it's my team.
I saw you one day, I think 2 weeks ago. You were sitting with the chairman and the executive chairman and one of the executive members.
Yes, and the chairman is my good friend.
Saloma.
Yeah, we come from the same village, that I'm talking of.
So why did you fail to sit on the table and resolve that issue on the table?
But there's a difference. That's where people miss things. Me being a member or a supporter of African Star does not stop me to provide professional service to a client,
yes,
that is being victimized
by African Stars.
Which is my club, because decisions are taken by individuals.
I understand that, but I'm saying, couldn't you have used your influence? I would have used my influence. I mean, if you come to me and we are having sort of a thing, our relationship should count.
Yeah, influence is what I said to you. Is when someone sends you to go and speak on their behalf behind closed doors, not them knowing what you are saying, and then you say, no, let's have these things and let's sort this thing out. You understand? So that's where the principalities come. That had they know me, we are good. We can talk at any given time. If I write a letter to you on behalf of my client, you respect that, because I know the former chairman, Patrick, went to law school, and you would disagree at the courts, call each other names, but the next minute you would be having coffee. It was that issue. So at the end of the day, I believe that sometimes their bad judgment in things went overboard. This issue would have ended there. But mind you, now it becomes a legal battle. The moment it becomes a legal battle, it has potential to disadvantage African Star. Because if they have contractual issues with the association and they want to partake in CAF Championship, you would not be able to partake if you have contractual disputes.
Okay.
So that has a serious repercussion. Who's going to lose? It can't be Bakera. It will obviously be African Star.
So that's what
and their decision was wrong.
Okay.
Let me tell you, if Bakera was your child, head coach of African Star, win a league, shortly after that, demoted. This guy is used 3-4 days, you are brought back, you have lost. you have lost the dressing room. You can't. How do you regain it? Someone is being brought in who has not won a league, who was dismissed for non-performance, must be your head coach, because sports is based on performance. This guy is performing currently. The guy is an in thing. He's a league winner. You can't treat him like that. So on that basis, when he comes to my office, I treat him at that professional setup. If they don't want to respect him at that level, unfortunately, Olsen Kahiriri is going to respect that guy with the dignity and respect that he deserves.
All right. We have heard about African.
But if African Star does that to the coach, head coach, what are they going to do to the players? And that does not only speak to African Star itself, but all clubs in this country. And we must put an end to that. But how do you put an end to those things? Is when you challenge the biggest, that things that they have the muscles to bully these things around. We can go as far as we want to go, but at the end of the day, it's the learning process, and this can go as far as it can, if it's not resolved.
All right, Olsen, thank you very much for gracing us with your time. We'll call you again. Unfortunately, we have gone over the allocated time. I'm glad you're not controversial today.
It's a social discussion.
I bullied you. You know, you used the word bullying. I think you used it 6-7 times. I bullied you not to be controversial by introducing you as somebody controversial. Next time, I'll let you go all the way you want.
but it comes with age.
And maturity.
Yeah, you see the white hair.
Yeah,
the Olsen that used to beat the tables back then is not the Olsen that you can surely engage with. But you must be unpredictable. If you're unpredictable, you will achieve a lot of things.
So next time when you come, we'll talk about your farming. I understand you're a farmer now. You just gave us a little bit of information about that. We would want to go through we'll talk about politics. You know, elections are coming this year. We'd like to hear your voice on that. And if you're going to contest again, you know, we saw your friend also is contesting for a certain position in a certain party. That is the SG, the former SG of...
Now we are playing around in social media about he's been bullied into the system, and that's quite interesting, because you must understand where he is at. It's a traditional party, and the way they are trying to do that, it's quite interesting, and you guys must follow it up, because it's we are putting it on another discussions, but at the end of the day, it's what the people want.
No, I do understand, but it would be interesting to have you and him in parliament at the opposite sides. You guys always gave us content. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you for watching, and do make sure that you like, you subscribe, comment, and give us suggestions on who you want us to bring on this particular show. And also remember to watch our other podcast with NSK that always comes every day. Is it every day? Not every day. It's every Friday. It always comes every Friday. The entertainment podcast. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back again next time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.